Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of the Energy Coalition, My Energy Future, Meet the STEM Hero, Tech Trailblazer. Woo! Meet our friend, John Gravelin.
Hello.
John, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm John Gravelin, a project manager at the Energy Coalition. So on a daily basis, I communicate energy efficiency projects to agencies and coordinate with technical consultants, all for the purpose of reducing energy and reducing emissions and advocating for renewable energy. And I support the environmental and clean tech sector by doing so. So I have a kind of a long career that I started in my very early days as a child. I would go to job sites with my father, who owns a residential construction company, and I would go to the construction sites and I would essentially sweep the dirty sites when I was a kid and would later be asked to do other random tasks such as hold pieces of wood while they'd be nailed in. And then one day I was even able to use a nail gun for the first time, which was really exciting. And in high school, I actually worked at Subway, where I learned customer service and how to make sure that people get the sandwich that they want and how to communicate with them. And I also worked at FYE, which has since been bankrupt, but it was a CD and video store where, yes, you could actually buy CDs to go home and play. And I actually learned a decent amount about sales, where we would try to sign up customers for membership as well as magazines, believe it or not. After high school, I went to college and I had several work-study positions through the school, and I worked as an online education assistant, architectural drafter, which led into some graphic designing, and then ultimately ended up in the sustainability world. And if you take each one of these jobs separately, you think about different skills that you need for that job, but when you're telling the story about your experience, it's really good to show people that you have some knowledge in certain types of worlds. And even just showing people, I used to work at Subway, tells you a few things, about your personality and your skills as well. Even though it might seem like you're just making sandwiches, there's a lot of other work that goes into it. So I am originally from Burlington, Vermont, and this shirt that I'm wearing here really personifies my childhood. I was obsessed with trucks, had all toy trucks, everything was trucks, loved seeing trucks on the job site. I was outside all the time in the forests. I spent most of my summers doing construction, so a lot of work in the hot summers. I did a lot of camping, hiking, was on the football team as well. Had experienced many cold winters on the East Coast, and eventually moved to Boston for college, and now I'm currently in Los Angeles. So I love to play music. I've played drums since I was in 6th grade, and music is just so important to me. This is a picture taken relatively recently, and music's just one of those things that I connect with instantly and can just feel how to play it, and it takes my mind off thinking and just kind of going with the flow. As a kid, I had some neighbor friends who we'd always go exploring in the woods. We'd build forts, climb trees, everything in between. I played a lot of Legos and puzzles, learned how to play chess. I love strategy games, including Risk, and played a lot of those in the very cold winters. So I went to school at Mount Mansfield UHS in Vermont. I would say my first STEM classes were actually offered in the last years of high school. We had a computer-aided drafting course that I learned how to draw plans and technical specs. And I also took a woodworking class because of my experience in construction, and built a lot of cool things, little table, little footstools. And then I went to the Boston Architectural College, where we had to work while we're going to school. And this actually allowed me to further my knowledge about what I would pursue in my career, because I was able to experience firsthand what I had to do for specific jobs. So that knowledge and experience was really helpful for me. And after college, I had one goal, which was to promote environmental and social progress while receiving a paycheck. And I'm glad that the Energy Coalition allows me to do that. So to get here, I had to learn, and I wish I had focused more on learning math. You have to learn math, so do your homework. Ask questions too. I remember my mom telling me when I was really young, you know, if you have a question in class, somebody else probably has that same question, and you should never be afraid to ask wrong questions. You should always make sure that you're understanding what's being given to you. Keep asking questions. And I did have to learn sustainability in a broad sense, and I also had to learn the very specific aspects of sustainability as they relate to different careers. So my advice would be to understand the broad knowledge now, and keep in the back of your mind that at some point you will have to narrow what you want to do in your career. And so just think about what interests you the most and try to pursue that for a job in the future. My advice to you is never stop learning. You will never stop learning once you're out of middle school. You'll never stop learning once you're out of high school. Even after college, you will just keep learning, and you need to learn to keep up with the new jobs and technologies that are coming out every day. And I would highly recommend finding mentors and finding people that you really like as far as what they're doing for a job, and learn from them how you can follow a similar path as them as well. And both professionally and personally, everyone needs mentors to look up to and to provide advice. These people will probably be involved in some part of your life, you know, for your whole life. So definitely find good mentors. Surround yourself with people smarter than you. It's so great to learn from those types of people, and it helps you develop your own knowledge going forward. Also, always try to work with others, and collectively you will all be able to save the world, but you personally, it will be a little harder without help from your friends. I'd highly recommend everyone to play chess. It helps you think about next steps when you're moving the pieces. It helps you think about the options that you have in moving those pieces, and it helps you start to think a few steps ahead and think about how your action now may impact a few moves down the line. And you should consider it as a fun game, but it also really is just a really great learning experience, and it's very valuable. And my last piece of advice to you is just go out and enjoy nature as much as you can. Just start to explore, hike, find some new beautiful places.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your career journey. We have a couple of questions we'd like to ask you. So the first one would be, could you tell us a little bit about why you chose to go to architecture school instead of a standard university or community college?
Yeah, so architecture school to me was a no-brainer in the sense that I had this construction background and I understood how buildings came together and many of the different technical aspects of construction. And so architecture to me was just the next step to build upon the knowledge that I already had. And it also just really interested me personally. So in a sense, it was a no-brainer.
Now, you talk a lot about how you playing chess has influenced you into the work that you do today.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some timing considerations that comes into chess as well, where sometimes even just keeping a piece in one spot is actually a move in itself because you can move it later and you can actually hold that piece there for as long as you want. And so really it helps you think about steps in the future and things that you need to happen in order to have a successful project. And ultimately you're playing against somebody else too, and so there's always going to be unforeseen circumstances in your master chess plan that you have to adapt to as well. So being able to be flexible in your plan and make moves that you weren't originally hoping to do is really helpful. And it really just, at the end of the day, it kind of reminds you that your actions now have some sort of consequence in the future, whether it's positive or negative. Yeah, I highly recommend everyone to just start playing chess, either with a friend or get an app to build your skills out.
All right, that sounds really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us your career journey and the things that you enjoy. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.